Hello, Blue Nation. Our next installment in our Investing in Tipton's Future video series is all about understanding the debt service fund. In our last video, we looked at how schools pay for day-to-day operation costs through funding provided by local property taxes. In this week's third installment, we'll discuss how the money from the debt service works and how it is funded. A quick refresher, all school dollars from the state tuition aid, federal grants, and local property taxes flow into one of three funds, which we commonly refer to as buckets: the education fund, the operation fund, and the debt service fund. Let's take a closer look at the relationships between the operations fund and the debt service fund. Our local property taxes supply revenue to both the debt service fund and operations fund. Rates for both funds are determined by the assessed value, or AV, of all property in TCSC district minus the circuit breaker impacts. We'll dig deeper into circuit breakers in a future episode. For this presentation, it's sufficient to know that circuit breakers limit the amount of property that can be taxed. The debt service fund levies or raises just enough tax revenue to cover payments on issued general obligation bonds, or GO bonds. No more, no less. More on these in just a moment. The Operations Fund levy is determined by the Department of Local Government Finance based on available tax revenue. The Operations Fund is capped at 4%, or less, depending on the change in assessed value. This means even if assessed value of property skyrockets, we can only collect up to 4% increase on those dollars. This has been the case for the last 4 years. When the assessed value of property stays relatively flat or even decreases, the operations budget decreases as well. Since the operation fund is limited by tax caps through the circuit breaker, schools are permitted to transfer up to 15% of the education fund into the operation fund. Currently, TCSC only transfers 3%, but with the changes in Senate Enrolled Act 1, that may need to change in order to cover our expenses. General obligation, or GO bonds, are bonds issued by a school district or local government that are backed by its full taxing power. This means the district promises to use property tax revenues to repay the bond's principal and interest. Schools often use them to purchase school buses and fund smaller projects. Construction bonds are bonds issued by a school district to finance the building or renovation of school facilities. The money raised can be used for projects such as new classrooms, gyms, or major infrastructure improvements, like the ones we just completed. Both of these bonds are repaid over time through property tax revenues dedicated to debt service. In Indiana, most large construction bonds must go through a public hearing and, if they exceed state thresholds, may require voter approval through a referendum. TCSC maintains the highest S&P bond rating of AA+. A good bond rating is important because it signals to investors that TCSC is financially stable and able to repay its debt on time. Higher ratings allow the district to borrow money at lower interest rates, saving taxpayers significant costs over the life of the bond. It also builds community confidence in the district's financial management and long-term planning. In the last 7 years, TCSC has maintained a low rate of $1 per 100 of below $1 per $100 of AV. In 2025, TCSC dropped its rate to its lowest at 85 cents. Rate management philosophy, right? This shows that TCSC has been a responsible steward of taxpayer dollars while continuing to provide quality education. Maintaining a tax rate below $1 and reducing it further to 85 cents in 2025 demonstrates fiscal discipline, efficient operations, and a commitment to keeping education affordable for local property owners. We want to reassure the community that we manage funds carefully and make thoughtful financial decisions before ever asking voters to consider additional support. Let's take a step back and look at the whole pie now. First, the debt service fund, supported by local property taxes, can only be used to pay off debts from bond issuances. It is a fixed cost that gets earmarked first in our budget. Next, the operations fund, also supported through local property taxes, is used for day-to-day operations like energy, water, maintenance, transportation, and support personnel costs. Finally, the education fund, largest of the three, supports daily instruction, primarily funding teacher salaries and benefits, along with curricular materials. Thanks for joining us for the third and final part of the week 3 installments of our Investing in Tipton's Future video series. As always, if you have any specific questions or topic requests, please reach out to me or Dr. Glaze. You can also find more resources and our video playlists on our district website under the Future Focus tab. Our next episode will discuss what happens when the funding sources from state, local, and federal shrinks due to tax cuts. Thank you for your time. We'll see you in the next installment of Investing in Tipton's Future.